Hello ladies and gentlemen, MarauderEX here with another gaming nostalgia story. The series where I pick a game that I have a unique series of memories attached to, and I, talk about it. I give a story about something that, I remember experiencing. And that's what I'm doing here. So, as you can see, this is Final Fantasy Tactics. This is War of the Lions, but the story kind of relates to the original Tactics, because that was the game that we were playing. But it's so much easier to record War of the Lions, because, slowdown and things like that. Anyway, so the story that I have related to this game is I used to run a tabletop GURPS campaign, and this game was very influential in creating some of the characters for that and some of the abilities, because we looked at the class system and we looked at how abilities were learned and how each class had a unique series of offensive abilities plus movement and support abilities, and then you could min-max specific class, but then you could also mix and match certain classes. Like you could have your main class as samurai with, support of summon, and that would be totally useless for the most part, but it's something you could do. So we flocked to this game. I was the strategy RPG person in our group of friends, so I had the most experience with this style of game, but I loved these games. And I dragged my friends into this, kicking and screaming. They were more interested in the game because of the Final Fantasy legacy, but I was able to convince them. Like, no, try it with this. I think you'll really like this. And they all enjoyed Final Fantasy Tactics as we were playing. So it was one of those things that just it kind of exploded in terms of popularity amongst all of our friends. But I will really never forget playing this game and having it be the primary focus of a tabletop gaming group. And because it was GURPS, we threw anything and everything in it, and we typically did. We had so much randomness in these games. We had I was talking about it on the live stream. One of my friends was playing a black Super Saiyan, and we had a character who was basically a combination of Mega Man X and Zero. Like we had an interesting array of players and characters that just wanted to add everything into it, and we did. I was fairly open-minded GMs, like, oh yeah, you want to do this? We'll find a way to balance it. We'll find a way to, and that was the joy of GURPS. Is that it was. For those of you who don't know what GURPS is, it's basically Dungeons & Dragons, but it's an acronym. It's the Generic Universal Role-Playing System. So they had books to where you could have basically anything and everything added to these universes. In fact, there was a GURPS book. Oh, I don't have my sword on, do I? Anyway, they had a GURPS book for anything and everything. And they had a GURPS book for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was blanking on it for a second, and I'm losing this fight. But this also is not my save file. I found a save file online that was not at the beginning of the game that had several things unlocked that I could kind of goof around with and show off. And this is one of those games where you can't do that. You have to know what your stats are. You have to know what your strategies are. Otherwise, you're gonna die. So, this is one of those things that is just hilarious. So, yeah, like, why do I have all of the Wrens? Like, what? Anyway, it was a very, very interesting system to see what could we add to this to make it, you know, entertaining and interesting. And there were so many things to this game that were like, yeah, we need to add this. We really need to add this. And we did. And I fell in love with this game before even really, you know, owning it. I did not own a PlayStation at this point, so this was something that was rather different for me. You know, spending so much time and effort chronicling abilities and whatnot. Like, we went through with a Game Shark on the PS1 version and did everything we could to unlock every ability so that we could see what classes have what can be done to you know, make these you know, abilities a little more interesting and things like that. We wanted to put as much of this game into our tabletop game as possible, because it was just a completely different style of game, and I was blown away by it. And we had a character who was basically a lancer, a dragoon. For the longest time, he was a player who switched characters maybe 3 or 4 times, and it was really interesting to see him basically play Final Fantasy Tactics on a tabletop game. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of those things that just it made a tabletop experience just even more unique. And if you've never played a tabletop game, it'll be hard to... It'll really be hard to understand, but tabletop games have a much different flow to them. They have a much different life, and I just... I will never be able to get over how tabletop gaming kind of influenced me throughout my adolescence. Basically, it was one of those things that I looked at everything a little more critically, and this is one of the things that I looked at critically was video gaming. I looked at this, and previously I had been playing games like the Shining series, Shining Force 2, and I was very connected to those series, and then, you know, I see a game like this that is just even more in-depth, like so in-depth it's actually almost scary. But I took to it like a duck to water, basically. It's like I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and because of that enjoyment, I'm sitting here wondering, what was this person doing in the save file? Oh, these characters are just so terrible. Anyway, because the game allowed for a unique ability to min-max. You could do things in this game that you couldn't do in other strategy games. You couldn't. Well, you didn't have characters who you could say, oh, this is going to be my healer, and it's like, they are your healer. They really have no choice in the matter. They are your healer. They're going to... That's it. That was their lot in life, was to be your healer. And now you get this game where it's like, no, this person's not going to be my healer. This person's going to be my damage dealer. And you have that ability to change that. It was just so so different at the time, and I really was blown away by it. Let's see. Can I do this? Nope. I can only get one. But I can completely heal myself, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna move over here. But this game is one that I really want to let's play as well, because of just, you know, how influential it was in my gaming education, so to speak. That I know I have to let's play. I have to play this game, and I can't imagine. I really can't imagine. Oh, teleport failed. I just. The problem is I'd be worried that I would not be able to do the game justice. That's my biggest fear, is that I would not be able to do that, because there's so much to this game that I don't even know where I could begin. And he picked up the corpse of his friend. That's hilarious, actually. And Choco Pellets, that's basically Chocobo poop. That's the joke. It's not Chocobo, but that's the joke. That's the joke. Alright, let's see if I can kill him. But it was... I can still remember... Like, I actually still have a lot of the paperwork of the original Final Fantasy Tactics, what classes unlocked what, and with what job points, and because we didn't have, you know, we didn't have the strategy guide at the time, so it was very much a different different beast altogether until we got the strategy guide. So we had to do what we could to unlock the game information that we had wanted. So, and with that terrible fight out of the way, that's really my nostalgia story for this. How this game kind of, for me, bridged the gap between, you know, video gaming and tabletop gaming, and how I was blown away just by the depth and complexity of this style of game. And I to this day, it still blows me away of just how in-depth this game can be. When a tabletop game, you expect it to be in-depth. Like, you can do pretty much that's the joy of a tabletop game. You can do anything. There are so many stories of, you know, what can be done in a tabletop game, because it's limited only by your imagination and the willingness of the other players. But this was one of the first games that was like, you know what, this is as in-depth as you could get at the time. And so it really did merge those two styles of gameplay, and caused me to look at games, both tabletop and video game, in a much different light. So, if you have a story about Final Fantasy Tactics that you remember, you were playing this game, and something about the game, or something about you and your friends or loved ones' experiences with this game, please share it. That's what I'm aiming for with this series. Is I want to share my experiences with a particular game without, you know, doing a full let's play of a game. You see the entire game, and I tell these stories in the let's plays, but it's so easy to miss over that in like 100 episode let's play. But that's my goal for doing these nostalgia stories. This is a game, this is a memory, a story that is directly related to this game, and I know I'm not the only one who has memories attached to games like this. So I would really love to hear yours. So post it as a comment in the comment section of the video, or make a video about it yourself and send me the link, and I'll do what I can to post them as a response to the video, and share them with my audience, so that other people can see, you know, memories associated with gaming. So I look forward to seeing you in the next Gaming Nostalgia Story. Till then, later everyone.